Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to learn how to use the index and match functions in Excel. So let's get to it right away. Let's get started right away. Alright, so as you can see over here, I have my sample data set right over here. What we are going to do is we're going to learn how to get the desired result that I am looking for right over here. Whenever I go ahead and select a student, it should automatically change the subject, and it should automatically change the marks and grade values according to what is present in my data set. So this is what we are trying to achieve. This can be achieved using the index and match functions. Let's get right onto it. Let's see how it's done. So we're going to replicate the same result in the adjacent column. So I'm just copy-pasting the data validation that I have set to select the student's name. Right over here, I'm just going to copy the styling and just paste it over here so that we have the same styling structure as the column number H, so that we have the same styling all over. Okay, so let's go ahead and type the function. The first function that we are going to check is the index function. Now let me explain to you how the index function works first. So we're going to type over here index. So when we do that, it immediately shows me like a brief description. It returns a value at a row and column intersection. So we're going to select that. Index function always looks for the desired result that you want. And in this case, the desired result or the answer that I'm looking for here is the subject. So my answer array, the array where I will find the answer to what I'm looking for, is under the subject column, right over here. So I'm going to select this area because this is the array where the function will find my answer. Now, how it's going to look is the next part. Using row number, so now it's going to ask me the row number for the answer that we are looking for. And the row number would be if I say for Jake. So for Jake, as you can see, the row number in the given array set. The row is 1, 2, so the subject is present at row number 2 in the given array that I have specified. So I'm going to write over here 2 and close the bracket. The reason I did that is there is another variable that you can set, that is the column number. If I do that, it won't generate any result right now. Instead, if I do 2 over here, and just for now, I'm just going to leave it blank. Okay? So there is another thing that you can add. There is another variable that is the column number, but as you can see, it's in square brackets. That means it's an optional value that you can put. If you do not require this, then you can skip it altogether. Right now, as we do not require this particular variable, we're going to skip it and just close the bracket and press enter. So right away it shows me Jake has the subject maths. So see, it's matching what is given in my data set. But the problem that I'm going to face now is if I say Mary, it's not going to change to English. It's not dynamic in nature, as right now it's very static. So it will only be true if I say Jake over here then. Only it will be true saying that Jake has maths as a subject. So what we're going to do over here is we're going to use another function that is called the match function. Let's just see how the match function works. Let's type equals match. So, match function is something that returns a numeric value. So right now, the numeric value we are looking for is the row number. So in order to make the index function more dynamic, we need to have a variable row number that should be based on the specific student that we are talking about. So right over here, we can see that the match function will return a relative position of an item in an array. Now what we're doing is, this is my array, and it's going to return the specific row number for an item in the given array. So let's just go ahead and define it. So what is the variable value? First of all, it's going to ask for what it's looking for. So what I'm saying is that the value that is the variable value it's looking for is right over here. So it will be specified in this column, that is column number P, and we're going to press comma, then look up array. Where should it look up this value? Okay, so this is the array that will have my lookup value, that is the name. So over here, what it's going to do, it's going to find Jake in this array and return the row number in the given array for Jake. So the function will look up Jake in my given array, and it will specify the row number. For Jake, it's 2, so it's going to return to that. Now another thing that we have to set over here is whether we want the exact match for our variable that is Jake, or we want something less than or greater than. But for most of the cases, we will use the exact match because we are looking for an exact match as it's a name and it's not any numeric value. So right over here, I'm going to say exact match and close the bracket. So this will return a numeric value. So as you can see, the match function returned the numeric value that is 2. That is the row number 2 for Jake. Now the most important point to note over here is that we should always have the same number of names and the same number of subjects. So we cannot, have like 5 names and 6 subjects. We have to make sure that we have the same number of name and same number of subjects. Otherwise, it won't work. So now when I change the student to Mary, it automatically is showing me the number, the specific row number in the array where I will find Ryan. It's saying 4, so Ryan is at 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you can see, for Ryan, it returns 4. For Mary, it returns 1. So basically, this is the kind of dynamic number that we need in our index lookup instead of 2. So what we are going to do is instead of 2, we are going to copy this, and we're going to paste it right over here instead of 2 just removing the equal to, and there you go. This will return the correct subject. So for Jake, it will return maths. For Mary, it will return English. For Kate, it will return science, so on and so forth. Hence, for Ryan, it's returning social science. And now that you know how to use the index and match function, let's do something more dynamic with it. So for marks also, you can do the same process, as above, and you will get it. So let's just do it once again to refresh your memory. So what we're going to do is we're going to type index. We're going to open our bracket. We're going to define the array where we will find the answer to the question that we have. So the question is marks. Where will we find the answer for it? We're going to find the answer in this array right over here. So we're going to select the range and we're going to need the row number. So just like the one above, we're going to add a match function to it to make it dynamic. So we're going to say match open and the lookup value will be my student name. So that is 5. I'm going to say comma. So where should it look up? So it should look up in Mary. Once again, we have to have the same number of names and the same number of marks. We cannot have like 5 names and 6 marks values. So we have to ensure that the number of rows for the name and the number of rows for marks is the same. And the next thing we are going to define is we need an exact match. And then we are going to close the bracket one time. And then again for the index function. And we're going to press enter. And as you can see, for Ryan's social science, it says 65 over here. Now that we have refreshed our memories, let's go ahead and do something even more advanced. Now what I have over here is marks and grades. So if I say marks, it shows marks. If I say grade, it shows me the grade value for it. So in order to do this, we're going to employ the other variable that we skipped earlier for the index lookup, the column value. So the column number variable that we did not use earlier. So just to refresh your memory, index has 3 values: the array, the row number, and the column number, which is optional. Before we skip this part altogether, as it was optional, now we're going to employ this part of the function, and we're going to make it dynamic enough to give us a grade or a marks value. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. So first of all, we're going to define the area where our answer can be found. So in this case, because we have 2 criteria, the grades and marks, we need to increase our reference area where we will find our answer. In this case, we won't just find our answer in the grade column. We will also need to look up the marks column depending on which option is selected. So right here, I'm going to choose my area, and then I'm going to choose the row number. Once again, in order to define the row number, I'm going to use the same match function. And in the match function, I'm going to do the same thing. So my lookup value will be the same student name in order to define the row. And then where I'm going to find it, I'm going to find it right over here. So the same student value, then we have to press comma. Then I'm going to define where I'll find it. So I have defined it over here. And what do we need? So we need an exact match. So I'm going to close the bracket. So this takes care of the second part where we are defining the row number. So this is the same as, this part is the same as what we did earlier, except now we are selecting a range that is a bit wider with respect to what we did earlier. So now we're going to employ this column. In order to do this, we are going to use the same match function. But in here, because we are looking up columns, so we have this variable right over here that we are going to focus on. So it will return value based on this variable for columns. So we're going to do comma, and then we are going to select the lookup array, so where we will find the value that is specified over here. Just like in case of the student, we define the variable place and where we'll find the answer for the variable right over here. In this case also, we'll define the variable location that is G9, and then where we will look up the value for the variable. So right over here, these two cells, C5 and D5, because these are the two values, the column values that I'm going to look for. Now I'm going to say comma, and I'm going to say how I want it. I want the exact match, and then I'm going to press the closing bracket sign, and then I'm going to close the bracket again so that our index function is complete, and then I'm going to just press enter, and as you can see now, it has become dynamic in nature. So if I say marks, it will say marks. If I say grade, it will say grade, and we can choose it for any of the students at the same time. If I say Mary, or if I say Jake, so there you have it. Now, you know how to use the index and match function. And if you find this helpful, like the video and let me know in the comments below what other functions in Excels you would like to learn, and we can go over them together. Thank you for watching. Well.